Hello, and welcome to the Finding the Unicorn in You podcast. I'm Dr. Jaime G. Raygoza, a life coach, psychologist, and your host. Join me on a journey to inspire and transform ordinary lives into something special. Here, we celebrate the unicorns, those who choose not to follow the ordinary conventional path, but rather chase after their dreams and choose the path less taken, making them truly unique. Together, we'll explore powerful life coaching techniques and hear from special guests who embody the spirit of unicorns in their own way. What are we waiting for? Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finding the Unicorn in You. Today, I have an individual who is a life purpose coach, teacher, who is based off of London in the UK. He's been helping people find and live their life purpose for over 10 years. I'm really excited to have him here. So without further ado, welcome Adam Tallamy.
Thank you, Jaime. Nice to meet you.
Welcome on. I'm very excited to have you here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what kind of got you into this field of work?
So I used to own a recruitment company. And in 2008, after the financial crash, I had a burnout. And I was off work actually for about 2 years. And towards the end of that time, I was recuperating. And I started to ask people, what is this all about? Why are we here? What's the meaning of life? And these poor, unsuspecting friends and family, like none of them knew what to say to me. They were like, you get these weird looks like, oh God. And basically the best answer I got was, you just need to get back down the gym, which there's some truth to that, right? It's not a bad exercise is good, but it made me think even more. What's the purpose? What's the point? Why am I doing what I'm doing here? Why was I killing myself, workaholic, running this company and making myself ill in the process? And it took me on a real journey inside, a healing journey. I tried everything you could name, every weird, wacky, from the normal counseling, therapy, right through to the strangest things you've ever heard of. And there was some truth in all of it, and it all helped me go inside. And from that, I started healing and coaching friends and family, and then it widened out from there. And the theme kept coming around is life purpose. What are you really here to do? And for me, it's the ultimate passion when you find your life purpose. So there's a real excitement there. But before you get there, you have to work through your stuff and do some clearing work, do some healing, coaching, therapy, whatever you want to call it, whatever the path you want to take. And you've got to get strong enough to receive your purpose, because it tends to come to you. So that's my passion. I love doing that. And it's a joy seeing the purpose light up people's eyes when they finally, it's almost like a download actually that comes to them mostly.
Life purpose is such a big concept that it's difficult for a lot of us to grasp. Like, why are we here? What am I meant to do? And a lot of us are trained at a young age, especially here in the United States. And you can tell me your perspective in the UK, where we need to be very uniform and do one straight line, and everybody does the same thing. But that one straight narrow line that we're taught in school is not necessarily what we want to do. Not everybody wants to go to college. Not everybody wants to do the same main, like doctor, lawyer, teacher. So it can be a little bit of internal turmoil. So I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah. First of all, I've coached people all over the world, and there are similar to what you've just described is not dissimilar to here and other places. Most people are they're working on their societal and family programming. Okay. So yes, go to university or college or whatever, get a job, earn some money, get a house, have the basic path, and it's meeting those expectations. And people have to break free from their programming. And you can only do that really by going inside. Took me to have a breakdown or a burnout, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's often an illness or a trauma or a crisis or someone dying close to you. And I guess part of my job is to help people before it gets that bad, because when the universe or your soul, whatever you want to call it, wants to wake you up and get you on the journey, it's going to happen one way or the other. It's much easier if you take a few steps towards it yourself. Speaking from personal experience, although it worked out perfectly.
I agree. And a lot of us aren't ready until something like that happens. I know for me, I do similar work that you do. And it was essentially like a car accident where I almost lost my life. That kind of led to me to, you're doing too much. You need to slow down. You need to go through the steps like what you're saying and really find out what you're doing and not just put yourself all into one direction. but it's better to do the work before it gets to that point, because not everybody's so lucky to survive like burnout or an accident or whatever it may be, like a terrible illness, like you said. So let's try to do the preventative work as much as possible.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So what are some things that you recommend people do to identify that maybe they're on the wrong path, or they're feeling that sense of overwhelm, that sense of not belonging, that loss? What can they do to at least take one step forward towards the right direction?
First of all, I would say that there is a pandemic of this. If there were ever a serious issue that needs to be looked at, and it is gaining much more popularity since COVID, talking about pandemics, people have started to look around and go, why am I doing this? What's the point? If it can all be pulled, the rug can be pulled away and we can lose our company, our job, why? And people are looking for more meaning. So people are starting to wake up to it. And a lot of people are still very stuck with that and not knowing, what do I do? What is my purpose? So there are a few things that I would suggest people do. The first and most important is start to meditate. Okay. Now I can almost hear the groans from a lot of people who have tried meditating, don't get on with it. I totally get it. I've coached lots of clients like that. And a quick reframe actually is sometimes enough to get people doing it more. So I'll share that with your listeners just in case it helps even just one person. It's normally, oh, my mind's too busy, I get distracted, I don't have the time. So one, set your alarm, same time every morning, do it. It only needs 5 to 10 minutes, okay? Doesn't have to be an hour. You can do it on the bus or on the underground or whatever it is. And then the most important thing is when you get busy in the mind and get distracted, know that happens to everybody. Everyone has that. Everyone's going to start thinking about the shopping. They're going to start thinking, oh, I should go to the gym. I should be doing more work, right? I should be getting somewhere that I'm not. And what you do then is you catch yourself eventually, it might be a few minutes thinking about that, and you smile to yourself. It's, I caught myself again. I'm meditating. This is brilliant. I'm doing great. Give yourself a mental pat on the back and just come back to the breath and just follow the breath in and out of the nose. That's it. And a minute later, 10 seconds later, you're going to get distracted again. And that's okay. Some days are easier than others. And you just got to keep turning up. That's the main thing. And the reason I say meditation is because it's going to improve your intuition. It's going to get you still. So that will feel better anyway. And then by being still, you're going to start to see what your patterns are, what your blocks are, what the issues are that are coming up in your life. And you'll be able to start to address those. So that's the first and foremost thing I would suggest. And actually, for some people, that's enough if you really get into doing meditation regularly. The second thing is you need to start to do some inner work. I'm not pitching for business here, although I am a coach, as are you. So there's two brilliant guys here. It's find someone to support you because it's really hard when you're starting on the journey. So you need to hire a coach, a therapist, a counselor, a healer, all of those people that are good and bad in all of those areas. Try what works for you and try multiple. Try 3 months, 6 months with one person, then try someone else. Then you're going to learn some tools from each of those people. And that will allow, it's not enough to see them once a month or even once a week. You need to learn some tools that are going to allow you to work on yourself. That's going to move you forward so much faster. And then things will just start to unfold. If you do just those two things, that's going to be super, super powerful.
I completely love that. And I do want to premise that no one is like over like these concepts. Like this affects everyone. Like me, myself, even though I'm a life coach, I still have my own life coach. I have a psychiatrist and a psychologist and a therapist.
Sure.
So those 3 individuals help me tremendously because even though you're teaching something, and I know my therapist and my life coach have their own life coach and therapist too. So it's just because you're a provider doesn't mean that you're immune to these things.
I would actually say, especially if you're a life coach or a healer, you absolutely have to work on this stuff. You've got to keep your energy high. You've got to work through your own stuff. And the more work you do on yourself, the clearer channel you become, the better insights you get, the better synchronicities will start to come to you. You'll see the signs. It all flows much easier when you're working on yourself.
Completely agree. And you have to be open to the process. So even if you're doing the 5-minute meditation, you have to be willing to let it in, convince yourself to actually try it out. Because if you're going in with pessimism or like negativity, I should say, you're not going to get the same experience if you're open-minded as you're trying it out.
Sure. Just come from the perspective that you're going to mess it up. You're going to get sidetracked. You're going to get confused. You're going to get lost. You're going to give up some days, come back the next day, you start again. Ha, brilliant. I caught myself on meditating. It's a different total reframe. It really it helps a lot of people.
Completely agree. For this season, I want to focus a little bit on like talents and gifts that we have that we give back to the community. So for you, life coaching and really helping people find their purpose has been your gift. And you mentioned a little bit about your background story and how you led to that. But what made you want to continue this path and not take it somewhere else? Because I know you also did teaching. So why the life coaching and not just teaching?
Yeah, I find, well, both one-to-one and group coaching. Well, look, I'm a healer and I'm a coach. Okay. So what I do is I get right into the root cause of why things are happening. What happened in childhood? What happened? I actually, sometimes past lives will come up. What happened in another life? I also do ancestral. So family patterns. What happened to your great grandfather? And all of that stuff comes into me when I'm doing a session. And like you, I'm sure, I just have a gift for it. And the more change and joy that I started to see in my clients, the more I was like, this is good, right? It gives you a buzz. And then over time, you start to see miracles happening. And I don't say that lightly. You start to see things that really shouldn't have been possible happen and unfold in people's lives. And that's the beauty of it for me. And that's why I like to coach people. And I do a minimum kind of 2 months, 3 months of coaching with people, because then you really start to see the benefit and it's undeniable almost. Whereas if you're just doing one session here, one there, it's just, it's like throwing a sausage down a tunnel. It's pointless.
I completely agree. And there's something amazing when you see those little aha moments in their eyes and then they're like, I never really thought about it that way. Why am I doing that? And they really start seeing their behaviors and in a macro sense of how everything comes into play in their whole system of their life. It's a beautiful thing when you start seeing the little changes here and there.
Oh, mate, it's just a joy. That's why we do what we do, right? It's good fun.
Yeah. And what you said, like we do this as a living, but we also get that my old boss always said, we get a paycheck that helps us live and a paycheck that helps us thrive. The second paycheck that helps us thrive is through the heart. It's those like little sentiments that you get when you see the people, what you're doing is actually working and you seeing them implement change in their lives. That's the payment that helps you the most.
I love that. I'm going to use that. Love your old tips. Cool.
Oh, he's an amazing person. But definitely, I know that by helping people, it can get a little overwhelming for us too. Like you said, we need to help ourselves. So what are something that you do as a life coach and as a healer to maintain that self-care for yourself?
That's a great question. The curse of the healer is that the healer often ends up in a corner in a ball crying because they don't look after themselves. And many people can say the same. For me, I'm always working on myself. I'm my most important client is the way I see it. And also the better shape I'm in and the more I've cleared of my own stuff, the easier and the better insights I have and the more I'm able to help my clients. It's hard to listen to it, but I teach my clients how to really develop their intuition and how to actually go into the heart and kind of connect with that. And you can have really clear guidance as to what do you need to do. And I check in most mornings and do I need to do anything today? Sometimes I go and says no. So I go to the gym or I go to the spa or I take the dog for a long walk. My natural impetus, which is why I had a burnout back in the day, is I've got to be getting somewhere else, not good enough as I am, got to be get somewhere. So I had to always check myself with that. And if I get too busy, I get those feelings of burnout coming on. And that's a good little alarm call for me. Yeah, hope that answers your question.
It does. And what you said is very powerful. The most important client that you have is yourself. And you have to use the same techniques you teach with yourself. It's sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm not going to believe it because I teach it, but you have to try it out because how do you want your clients to be convinced that it's going to work if you don't try it yourself?
Yeah.
And I know, I totally get what you're talking about because my life coach always tells me, like, you need to be doing this with time management. You need to be doing this with organization. And I was like, I literally just talked about this with the client myself and I'm struggling with the same problem. So I was like, I need to take my own advice. So I think self-coaching is super important. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Sometimes like you said, if I I check my energy level, and if I feel like I'm at a 2 or 1 in energy level and I'm just not doing well that day, I ask, is there anything pressing that I need to do today that if I don't do it, things are going to crumble? No. Okay. Then allow yourself to take an unguilty break.
Nice. Love that, mate. I love that. And actually, you just alluded to one of the other big ones that's useful here is listening and looking out for the signs. So when 2 or 3 people start saying to you, you need to look at your time management or whatever it is, my spidey senses straight away go up and I'm like, oh, okay, the universe is trying to tell me something. And then if you don't listen, it tells you again and it might punch you a little bit, give you a bit of a knock. So
Oh,
yeah, getting in with that is super, super useful.
oh yeah, big time. And one of the biggest ones is your body's going to slightly tell you in small little ways, hey, you're getting to your breaking point. One of the most common things that I've noticed people is that like eye twitch, where you start seeing the little that stress twitch that happens, or you start seeing little muscle spasms over your body. And that's your body trying to release some of this tension that you have inside. And it's not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "I noticed that your arm was twitching." "Oh yeah, that happens from time to time. That's a sign of stress." And they're like, "Oh, but it's always happened to my life since I was young." And I was like, "That means you've always been stressed. So what are you doing about it?" And then that's when we start those conversations. So even the nonverbal cues, we should really pay attention to.
Yeah, for sure. And let me also say, remind me never to play poker with you because that is quite an eye you got there.
Oh, definitely. That's a telltale sign that I'm stressed that I'm losing. Oh, wow. No, but definitely. So, with everything that you do, what has been the most impactful experience you've had helping people? Do you feel like, wow, this is the reason I do what I do?
That's a good question. The best visual example I can give you two. There are two incredible visual examples that happened in the last year. Like one client that I was coaching, I'm still actually I coached him today, and he came to me, and in the first session, the room he was in was so dark, I couldn't even see his face at all. And normally I'd be like, can you turn the light on or do something? But the intuition was, no, just leave him. It's fine. He's in his comfort zone. It's okay. Now, I muted it was online. So I muted the call. I took a screenshot and I checked in with him whether it was okay to use it subsequently. And then after our 7th session, I took another photo. I said, just stop a minute there. I just want to take a photo because he was beaming. It was bright. He was in the same room, which made it even more impressive. He was like a completely different man. I'll send you the pictures after. It's mind boggling. And he loved it and went and showed it to all his friends and family. It was like, look what I've changed and how it's gone. And his life is so different. He's gone from, he wasn't in a dark place, but there was stuff that he really needed to address and work through. And he's done that now. But yeah, it's a very credible visual. And then there was another client from, where is she from? From the States. And she came on the call and she had one shoulder up here. And I was like, what's happening with your shoulder? And she said, I think it's just, I use a keyboard a lot and I'm hunched over my laptop. And I was like, okay, intuitively feels like there's something else going on there as well. So we did some work on it. Didn't take long, maybe 5-10 minutes. And it went down to there. Okay. I only took a photo of it at that point. Then we did a bit more work, maybe 5-10 minutes more. And by the end of the call, she was normal. And I took a photo then. She knew I'd taken it and showed her both pictures. She was blown away. She said, yeah, and I know it. The original one was way, way different. You can change, man. You can change anything. It doesn't matter. Physical things, there's always something emotional beneath it. I've seen people who've been abused, raped, been through horrific things. And if you're willing to face your fears and your demons and work through them and put the hours in, you can change pretty much anything. So I hope that offers some hope for people who are struggling right now.
And I love that. And that's another example of how our bodies will adapt to the stress that we have, like the shoulder thing, or just like the hypersensitivity in the dark. And our surroundings are a straight representation of what our inners look like.
So true.
I interviewed a declutter life coach last season, and she said that if your space is a mess, most likely your mind's a mess. So it mirrors what's going inside you. So pay attention to those small things because it does paint a picture of what's going on.
Yeah, I've seen that in my own life so many times when my room, for example, has been an absolute bomb site and yet couldn't get the impetus to clean it and it kept staying. And then some sort of healing breakthrough. And then it was completely suddenly cleared. And I could tidy it and it never got messy again. Like those sort of changes. I find you can push things and you can force yourself to tidy or do whatever. But actually, I prefer a little clearing my resistance and whatever's coming up. And then when the time is right, it will happen. And it will happen so easily. And it will be a joy to tidy. Whereas before it would have been absolute nightmare.
Yep. Yep. I completely agree. And sometimes it can be overwhelming doing the things that we need to do, but you're like, it's gotten so bad. It's easier
Yeah.
just to let it go and let it keep getting bad versus me, like, where am I going to start? How am I going to tackle this? And one piece of advice that I was given that has been so great for me is two pieces of advice. One, get out of bed and put on some shoes. By putting on shoes, you're telling your brain, I need to do something. Sometimes we're barefoot, sometimes we're in socks when we're home. So we are in a relaxed state. So if you put on some shoes, you're subconsciously telling your body you're getting ready to do an activity. Second, don't do the activity, just stand near the proximity of the area that you need to do it. So for example, if you need to do laundry, just stand next to your laundry basket for give yourself 15 seconds. Gives your body that subliminal messaging of I'm going to do laundry, I'm going to do laundry. So you're getting yourself ready to do it. And before you know it, you're going to actually start doing it. If you tell yourself, oh, I need to do this, you're not going to do it because you're already telling yourself that you don't want to do it. Versus if you just put on your shoes, stand there and just do that mindfulness for 5-10 seconds, you'll build up the momentum to actually start doing the activity.
Great tip. I'm going to try that tomorrow. Thank you.
Of course. So when it comes to overwhelming things, such as either internal work or external work, what's some ways to be able to maintain a balance of not doing too much at once and burning ourselves out and still being able to pursue our goals at a steady pace?
I compartmentalize my week and I used to work all the time, all the hours God sent. And now all 99% of the time, I have just 5-day week. In fact, less than that, probably a 4.5 day week. Fridays are normally spent relaxing. So you're lucky to get me on a Friday. And then the other thing I do is, as we talked about earlier, I check in with myself, as do you. What, if anything, do I need to do today? And I really listen to the guidance. And 9 times out of 10, actually, the answer is nothing. Now, that doesn't mean sit on your bum and eat potato crisps. It means carry on about your normal business, but gently. There's no rush. There's nothing you urgently need to do today. And that has been one of the most freeing things that I do for myself. And anyone can start to do that. Just start meditating. When you're meditating, do it first thing in the morning and ask yourself that question. If you get still enough, there will be a voice that will come back to you. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's the first thing that comes back to you. So you ask the question, what comes back straight away? Go with that. Start to trust it. It's a muscle like that you have to develop, but it's pretty easy. Everyone has access to it.
I agree. You have to be able to do those check-ins with yourself. If you don't do them, you're not going to have somebody else. You're the one living your life. You have to be able to do it because you're the one in control of your decisions. So how are you supposed to take a break if you're not checking in to see if you need a break or if you need to do whatever you need to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what that goes back to. You've got to start to take responsibility and work on yourself. It's not enough to even be seeing someone once a week. It's not, especially with the rate of change we're seeing at the moment. And from a sort of healing perspective, these days, so I started doing this work 15 years ago. And back then, it took a long time to change, to help people change and work through their things. There'd be major drama, lots of tears. Now, the energy, I don't know if you're aware of this, the energy on the planet is so much higher. Things are changing like that. And you just have to look around. One day there's Ukraine, there's Palestine, there's this, there's that. It's reflected out in the external world as well. It's only reflecting what's within us. It's the internal chaos and conflict. And the best thing you can do, don't go on a march against something, just do the work on yourself and start to come to peace within yourself. If you're angry about Gaza or Israel or whichever side of it you're on, doesn't matter. work on yourself, change how you feel, come to a more centered, balanced place. And that will be reflected back out into the world. We live in I always forget the word. I want to say holotropic. It's not that. Holographic universe. So science supposedly has proven this, that everything is a reflection. Okay. So if you feel a certain way, the world around you is going to reflect that. So the more of us can come to peace within ourselves, the more peace you're going to see in the world. And clearly around you specifically, 100%.
Exactly. Your input is your output. So whatever you throw in, I'm a true believer in karma, and whatever you put out is what you're gonna receive back. And so it's a lot easier to put intention in what you're doing than let external factors control what you're doing. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that I have with the clients that come to me, is that they feel they have no control over their life. And when I ask them, what are you doing to put control into your life? What do you put purpose in every action that you do? Or do you just let the universe tell you what to do? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, okay, when you woke up today, did you make a decision why you're wearing what you're wearing? Or do you just put on whatever the first thing that you saw? Like, you have to put intention to whatever you're doing. If you knew you were going to go to a certain meeting and you wanted to impress a certain individual, then try to look your best that day. If, like, for yourself and also for what you're going to be putting out there. Like, what are your intentions for that meeting? Is your intention to network? Is your intention to make a friend? All of these intentions that you put on in the universe, you're going to reap whatever you put out. So if you put in negativity and you're like, I just don't want to go to that meeting, I don't want to go, it's a waste of my time, that's what you're going to get out of it. It's going to be a waste of your time. Versus if you go in with the mentality of, I'm going to make a new friend, I'm going to make a new collaboration here, then your output's going to be a lot different and you're going to get something completely different out of that experience.
Let me tell you this little story. So what you were just saying about intentional living is super powerful. I teach my clients how to do intentional and intuitive shopping. You can do it with anything, but primarily the important one is with food and supplements and things like that. Because let's face it, there are so many toxins, so many bad foods, bad brands. It's confusing, right? Presumably designed to be that way. So these days, when I'm going shopping, I would only shop intuitively. So it's, do I need this? I don't know if you've ever done this. If you hold something in your hand and you can hold it, allow it to come up or go down. If you hold it, let me give you an example. So I'm holding this. Let's say this has got some juice in it. I don't know if it's good or bad juice, but I'm going to let it, if it's good, it will rise. If it's bad for you and you don't need it, it will go down, become heavier. You can play with this. I know it sounds a bit left of field, but it's based on kinesiology, which is a science of some sort. And you can go there and you can do that exact thing with if you're allergic to something, if you don't know what it is, you go to a kinesiologist, they will do a test of various different things and you'll do that exact exercise with it. So you can go into a shop and you can do it in your hand. You can even do it online, actually. You just have to imagine, is my hand going to go down or up? And once you get practiced at it, it's super powerful. And I've had experiences over the years where I've been buying things and I've suddenly found out that actually they're really good and their competitor's really bad. And also I've had experiences where I've been really liking something and then the intuitive has gone down and I find out they've changed their recipe or they've added something or something comes out that they had, I don't know, heavy metals or something in it. So really powerful. And especially in the States, I think it's really hard with the Dark Food Act, really hard to know what you're eating. So I hope that helps a few people over there.
That's very interesting. I'm going to have to try that as I go shopping.
Yeah, it's a game changer. It really is. Give it a whirl. Try it and let me know. I'd love to hear.
I'll definitely. That's interesting. I'm like thinking, okay, I'm just going to let it, like, to see what the weight of it is and how my body reacts to it. And I think subconsciously too, your mind already knows what you have to do, but you just have to give it the chance to tell you.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah. Super.
I love that.
Fun as well. People are like, what are you doing?
And then you start a conversation.
You have to be comfortable in yourself, but yeah.
I love that. So we're getting to the point where we're going to the last question, which is the whole premise of the podcast, making unicorns. So a unicorn, in my definition, is someone that is able to tap into their talents and then give back to the community one way or another and really hit their full potential. So people who want to become unicorns can be different kind of unicorns in any industry. In your mind, what can someone do to be able to tap into their talents and start their unicorn journey?
So in my mind, the unicorn journey is often about life purpose, because life purpose is your ultimate gift, your ultimate reason for being here. Now, look, you don't have to find your life purpose to become a unicorn. I totally get that. But the clients that I see that embark on that thing they're really here to do, there's an extra energy, there's an extra oomph and power behind it. And it really gets people out of bed. So again, sorry to be repetitive, but the first thing to do is start to meditate. And the second thing is start to work on yourself, hire someone of some sort of shape, learn some tools, and you can do so much by yourself. It won't cost you that much. And then when the time is right, you can just start asking, I want to know what my life purpose is, or I want to know what my unicorn, what my genius is. And it will come to you, or you might know it. I guess probably 10% of my clients come knowing their life purpose, and they just want help to actually make it happen. Because that's the other thing. It's actually easy. It's relatively easy to find your life purpose. The hard bit is making it happen, because it's a journey of living on the edge or outside of your comfort zone. And that actually is the ultimate point about becoming the unicorn. Is you're going to face struggles. It's going to be challenging. It's going to take you outside of your comfort zone. To me, it's the hero's journey. It's the Lord of the Rings. I forget what his name is, but the guy in Lord of the Rings is going on his mission, right? He was in the Shire. He was very comfortable and safe and secure, and he had to go on this mission, and it freaked him out, and he had to face his dragons, which to me it's a metaphor for our fears, our doubts, our insecurities. You've got to face all that stuff. And the more you do it, the more you step up. And the more you step up, the more you become the hero of your own life. And that's the biggest gift you can give to yourself and to the world. And then by doing that, you could then play a much bigger game. That's the life purpose journey. It keeps getting bigger. It doesn't start with this big, you're going to save the galaxy. It starts with something relatively small that will challenge you. For you, perhaps it could be do a podcast, reach 10,000 people. Okay. And then once you get to a point where you've either done that or you're building towards it, the next level drops in. Then you're playing a bigger game still. Then you're suddenly helping 1 million people. And before you know it, you'll be saving the universe, but it won't be like that straight away. So don't get too freaked out and put off if you haven't started that journey yet, because it builds.
I completely agree. And I love that. It is a hero's journey. And everything starts with a small quest, like you said. You're not going to be able to conquer. Rome wasn't built in a day. So start by putting up the first block, little by little. But it is a journey. So trust the process.
Yeah. And so many people never start because they're afraid of what it's going to mean, how it will change their life. Will I have to leave my job straight away? Will I have enough money? What will my family think? What will my partner think? I've got to support the kids. So they never ever go there, and they stay in the tunnel vision doing the job that they probably don't like, perhaps hate, and waiting for the pension. And that's a long old ride. It's hard to shake yourself out of that sometimes, but it's worth doing it.
Yes. And the common question is, what if I fail? And what I answer to that question is 2 questions. 1, what if you succeed? And then 2, what if you fail, but you learn something that will help you succeed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And most of these uber successful people that you speak to, they've failed multiple times. And it's the people that are the most resilient. And you can fail and feel broken. And that's okay. You just then work through what it's brought up in you. That's going to make you stronger. And if you failed 10 times, you're going to be much stronger than a person who's failed 1 time if you've done the work. So again, it comes back to having some tools you can call upon, or some people in your corner, like your life coach or your therapist, etc., who've got your back. I couldn't do this by myself. That'd be crazy.
You need to build your community that you can trust and the providers that can help you along your journey. As much as we want to do it on our own, we need people around us.
Yeah, this might sound a bit arrogant. I hope it doesn't. I look at myself as being like a Formula One race car. So I'm the driver. I'm in the cockpit kind of maneuvering, but I've got someone in my ear telling me what's happening ahead of me. That's my intuition effectively. And then you pull into the pit stop, there's 3 or 4 guys doing your tires. There's a guy doing your fuel. There's someone cleaning your visor. You couldn't do this by yourself. No way.
Completely agree. Yeah. You need your little community that's gonna help you. And that could be your friends, that could be your family, that can be your providers, life coach, therapist. But you need people to help you along your journey. And some people may be for the long haul. Some others might be for little chapters of your journey.
Yeah, I like that. Very nice.
This has been such an amazing conversation. Thank you, Adam, for all of the tidbits you gave today. One last question for you. If somebody wants to get in contact with you, hire you as a life coach, or just know more information and talk to you, how can they do so?
Sure. I'm on all social media. My website is adamtallamy.com. I'm sure you'll put it in the bottom there in the blurb. And yeah, just reach out. I'd love to help. I would also like to make your listeners an offer if you're okay with that. Feel free to delete it out later. If for the first 3 people that contact me, I'll do a free 1-hour session taster, but no obligation whatsoever. If you're struggling or if you're interested to find your life purpose, love to help you. Just mentioned Jaime in the show and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Listeners, definitely take advantage of that. And I'll put all this information in the show notes and for reminders for listeners. If you go to my website at raygoza-consulting.com, go to the Unicorn Wall of Fame, you'll see Adam on there with his bio, all the links, and a summary of the show. And episodes come out every Friday at 7 a.m. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Adam, thank you so much for this time.
You. I'm so excited to be in the Unicorn Hall of Fame. Bring it on, Jaime.
Thank you so much. And everybody, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to the Finding the Unicorn in You podcast. I truly appreciate you listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and gained valuable insights. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review on your favorite platform. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep growing. Until next time, this is Dr. Jaime G. Raygoza signing off.